Welcome to the Realest Business Show on radio, business segment on the radio. On this segment of Hard Facts, we talk about how the issues in the news affect businesses of all sizes. And that's why we go to Balogun Street and we go to Broad Street, because they're very, very different types of businesses, but yet they intersect a lot of the time. And there are different people who work for these businesses. And so we look at the big stories in the news and how they affect the people who work for these businesses, the people who own these businesses, which is why we started a conversation last week, Wednesday, about the startup bill. How will the startup bill impact the tech ecosystem? So we are firmly on Broad Street today. The bill has passed second reading in the House of Reps after being sent to the National Assembly by the presidency. The supporters of this bill say that it's going to help grow the Nigerian tech sector. Last week, I shared this business hard fact with you. Today, I'm sharing it again. According to TechCabal's State of Tech in Africa report, the Nigerian tech sector received $540 million in venture capital funding in 28 deals in the first quarter of 2022. So over 300 billion naira coming into the sector from VC funding alone. So we clearly have a high growth economy on our hands. It's employing more and more Nigerians. It's putting the country on the map globally. And that's why the question I asked last week, Wednesday, is still relevant today. What does the Nigerian tech sector need from the government? Does this startup bill provide it? I didn't ask you that question directly last week, so I'm going to ask you directly today. What does the tech community, the tech sector need from the Nigerian government? This startup bill, does it provide it? Could you move your phone away from the mic? Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Take off my judge's hat.
Put your analyst hat.
Yes. Yeah. So I think, and we talked about it, obliquely, indirectly last time. The tech sector is facing physical constraints that are, infrastructural challenges. Startup costs are high because power costs are high, energy costs, internet connectivity is erratic, and internet costs are high. Now, what's government's role there? Is that whole thing we talk about enabling environment. So, for instance, we need governments at all levels, federal, state, and local, to cut down on rights of way, licenses, so that more cable can be laid, so that we have more internet connectivity, and that will allow the ISPs, the internet service providers, to bring down data costs, which also means that the Communications Commission should remove the data price floor so that there can be competition in the space and internet providers can charge as little as they want to charge to the end users. So that's one example. Things like the whole power problem is one thing which can be solved in one day, but anything that can help us reduce the cost of energy so that startups can run their businesses without worrying about generators. I mean, we heard from one of your callers the other last week who was talking about spending 300,000
on generators
on diesel. So those are some issues. I think it's less about regulation and more about opening up opportunities. And, it's not really clear how this bill, as it is currently written, is going to do that, because it seems more like it's setting up just more regulation.
All right, our guest, I didn't give him a proper introduction, except for calling him our chief judge. But away from judging, I beg to differ. He's also the product lead at Founders Factory Africa. Founders Factory Africa is a venture capital firm and venture studio. He's a product management executive. He has done all kinds of exciting things with his life. And, part of what they do is, help to build the tech sector for a living, so that's why he's here today answering this question for me. Now, last week we spoke about what the objectives of this bill include. So let me do a refresher for you who's listening for the first time. The startup bill is intended to, quote, provide a legal and institutional framework for the development of startups in Nigeria, and to A, provide an enabling environment for the establishment, development, and operation of startups in Nigeria. B, provide for the development and growth of technology-related talent. And C, position Nigeria's startup ecosystem as the leading digital technology center in Africa. And last week, Chief gave us a very nuanced answer about which of these objectives he believed were valid goals for the government and which ones he thought government really has no business with. I remember he said that government should always be in the business of creating an enabling environment. Government, as a custodian of education, should also play a role in talent development. The question is, how will they do it? So that was last week, Wednesday. Oh, and then last week, Wednesday, I also told you that, well, Chief told us that the bill sets up a whole bunch of institutions to regulate the space. So you have the National Council on Digital Innovation, chaired by the President, the Vice President, the Minister of Communications, the Finance Minister, Science and Tech Minister, Industry Minister, CBN Governor, the Director General of NITDA, 2 reps from Nigerian Computer Society, 3 reps from Startup Consultative Forum. There's a Startup Consultative Forum.
It will be set up after the bill.
The council is supposed to coordinate all government policies that affect the sector, so that they can meet the objectives of the bill. The council will also be able to give research grants to institutions and universities and individuals. And under the startup bill, NITDA will now serve as the secretariat of the council. They will now have the power to decide what businesses qualify as startups. They will draft and implement a national digital innovation and startup policy. They will create partnerships with international and local hubs, with accelerators to grow startups. They'll support research and development. They'll support commercialization of local research. They'll also do training and capacity building, setting up of incubators and tech parks. They will create and enforce guidelines for setting up hubs. They'll foster synergy between startups and the investor community. Again, all of this seems to be happening without government at this point. So why is the government getting involved right now? I have to ask that question. I asked you last week. I'm asking again.
Okay, so I think what we saw here is you had a lot of people from the startup community and the tech community generally saying, look, we need to get government interested and involved, because if you don't involve government, as this thing is growing, you run the risk of government looking at you with hostility. So better to start working with government early to lay the groundwork. And, well, I don't personally disagree with that strategy, but what I disagree with is the how. So what I mean by that is the question has to be asked, is this the best way to involve government? And if you're involving government in this way, is it not defeating the purpose of involving government, since the whole purpose of involving government was so that government doesn't get in the way? Because I think when you have a situation where you're setting up, you're basically telling government, all right, with the way this is being described, government is basically attempting to do what it usually does in these situations, which is set up councils, set up committees, set up panels at cabinet level to regulate a sector and decide who gets money and decide, where resources should go. Now, resource allocation is not the problem in the Nigerian tech sector. Startups are getting access to funding.
Yes. 300 billion naira worth.
Exactly. So if that is that's the thing that actually got the most lines of text in the bill, is
the money,
the things around funding and all of that. But that is, if there's one part of the tech ecosystem in Nigeria that's working great, is funding. Hello, Founders Factory Africa. We're here putting money into the sector, and we're not alone. There are lots of funds globally. Africa is hot, and Nigeria is hottest. So that's already happening.
Right.
Instead, where we see problems with issues like, speed of incorporation. How easy is it for a startup to incorporate? After incorporating, how easy is it for that startup to coordinate affairs with various government regulators? So let me give you an example. Let's say you're a fintech, right? You're a fintech. So that means definitely you're talking to the central bank.
That's right.
The central bank is your regulator.
That's right.
If you are a fintech that's dealing in, trading securities, for instance, or investment, it means not only are you under the CBN, but the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, is also your regulator, for example. So suddenly, you're serving two masters. And that's something that comes up a lot with fintechs, and they have to deal with that. And then, you have to also deal with the, intellectual property issues, with that council there. So now, if you talk to fintechs today, they will tell you that sometimes there's difficulties. I think I can point to one very concrete example that was in the news last year, which was when the cryptocurrency startups and the crypto exchanges were in long talks with the SEC over getting listed as exchanges and valid and all of that. And while they were there, and the SEC had already even given some of them the first crypto licenses, provisional crypto licenses, some of those same companies that were given the SEC licenses got banned by the central bank while that was ongoing. How could that happen? Because there were two regulators in one sector who were not talking with each other, right? So when you tell me that there's now going to be a central council for startup affairs, if that has to exist, that's the type of problem it should be solving. How do you make sure that there is a one-stop shop so that a startup operating in, say, fintech is able to juggle the two regulators who are there without getting in trouble? How do you make sure that a startup that is in agri-tech, right, is able to not fall afoul of the Ministry of Agriculture, the central bank, which is involved in agriculture these days, and all these other, government parastatals and regulators? So that's one of the major bottlenecks that fintechs currently face that government can help with, not funding.
And especially when you think about the fact that, this consultative forum will provide guidelines for what businesses qualify to be labeled as startups, relevant incentives that apply to startups, information on available local capabilities, nomination of reps to the council, policy proposals, and those who will be members of the consultative forum would include labeled startups, VCs, angel investors, Nigerian computer societies, incubators, and CSOs. Lagos, if you want to hear more about these things, we talked about it last week, Wednesday. So look out for the podcast. It's available on our website, nigeriainfo.fm. I really want to dig deep into some of the provisions of this bill, right? And we talked about this a bit last week, right? We started with financing. So the bill sets up a startup investment seed fund that will provide early stage financing to labeled startups. Remind us where you said the money will come from.
No, the bill is not clear on where the money will come from. Unlike other bills that set up these types of funds, usually when a bill sets up a fund like this, the bill also says where the money will come from. Right. I gave the example last week about the police fund, the police trust fund.
Right.
Police trust fund says a certain percentage of corporate income tax goes into the fund.
Right.
So you know from the bill where the money is coming from.
Right.
But this bill doesn't say that. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the National Assembly reacts to that. I think my guess is that at the next reading, somebody is going to, in the National Assembly, in the reps or in the Senate, is going to insert some language that specifies the source of funding. But it's not there now.
So that's direct funding from government. But
yes.
How does the bill go about increasing private funding to startups?
What the bill does there is it, so I think I have to go back to first principles. You mentioned it briefly. You said labeled startup. The bill creates a new type of entity called a labeled startup. So you're a startup. if you want access to all these benefits that are available in the startup bill, you have to go to government. You have to go to the council that is set up by the bill, and you have to apply to them and say, I want to be recognized officially by the government as a startup.
Right.
And then the council, the secretariat of the council, which is actually NIDDA, the Nigerian Intellectual and Information Technology Development Agency, will receive your application over their online portal and investigate you and decide whether or not you qualify to be labeled a startup. Once you're labeled a startup, and you're now a labeled startup, then you can now apply for this funding, like for instance from this seed funding, right? Now, to me, that is in itself not the worst thing. What I mean by that is, like we said, there's a lot of funding, and you've given the figures. If government says, "Hey, we want to get in on it too," right, with our own, widow's mites, and we want to also start helping to fund startups. I mean, like, you can. That's a policy position.
Okay.
A more liberal, economically liberal person.
Maybe it should be a debate topic.
Maybe, yeah, that would be a good. Yeah, it actually would be a great topic. Should government fund startups?
Let me write that down.
So, it depends on where you stand in terms of fiscal conservatism. You may say, yeah, government should or government shouldn't be funding startups directly. That's an argument that anyone can have. But the question, to me, that's not the worst thing. Instead, what it should be of concern is the way the attempts to incentivize. So suddenly, it's to incentivize where private funding is going. Because what the bill says now is, if you as a private fund wants to invest in a startup, if you invest in a labeled startup, 35% of your investment or 30% of your investment will be written off from your income taxes, your corporate income taxes. So suddenly, private investors have an incentive to change their minds about who they want to invest in, and instead invest in who government has already invested in, and government says invest in them. They are the labeled startup, and that, of course, and I've talked to a lot of people in the startup community, and there's a bit of concern about that because one of the great things about our ecosystem and why a lot of people went in there is it's always been one place where the hand of government in choosing winners and choosing losers has never been strong.
Right.
So, people are standing based on their ability to just do business. Right. And it's not, government, this is government's favored startup and they're growing, that's not happening there.
Right.
So, but now when you have that situation and it's not happening there because these startups have access to private funding, both domestic and foreign. But suddenly, if government has a way to tell those private funders, no, fund these guys instead of these guys, isn't that government picking winners and losers all over again? But
beyond funding, the bill also empowers the Secretariat to provide training for startups. What do you think about that? How will that work?
Now, under the way the bill is set up, I will cover that as well. There's just multiple types of training. There's setting up of course and funding courses in various tertiary institutions, polytechnics and universities. Courses for the skills needed in the tech sector, the startup sector. So, I'm assuming they didn't specify, but I'm assuming that means, software development, software engineering, product management, design, growth marketing, all these skills that are needed in the tech sector, even just generalists, all of that. So they want to create courses to upskill people in those, in universities and in polytechnics. That's one. Second is you have these they want to set up these 6 centers, industrial training centers in each of the geopolitical zones, one in each zone. And those places are just there to just train tech people, and so those are the two. Then there's also direct training to startups. So this one is now, if you're a labeled startup, you can now go to the government portal and say, okay, I need training as a founder, or my product managers need training, or my devs need extra, and you can get access to that training through third parties who are also listed and registered on the portal. So that's the plan. That's the plan.
Okay. Lagos, join the conversation 0700-993-993-993 01465-7190 0700-993-993-993 01465-7190. What questions do you have about the startup bill? If you work in tech or you're a founder, tell us what you think the problems in your industry are, and what you think that you can be doing or shouldn't be doing to help solve those problems. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. This is Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. You've been listening to me have a conversation with Chief Andy Oboforibo, who is a product lead at Founders Factory Africa. You can just call him Chief Andy or just Andrew is fine. 99.3, hello. Sorry about that. Call back if you can. 99.3, hello. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. What's your name, sir?
Yes, my name is Nkemaro.
Welcome, Kim.
Yeah, thank you. I listened to the program, and I want to make a couple of inputs.
Okay.
The startup bill, yeah, it's a wonderful idea. I've been looking at it from the perspective of a techie and a technology entrepreneur, and I have some reservations about it. You see, one of the biggest problems we have in Nigeria is that people sit back, come up with ideas, conceptualize things, and all of a sudden somebody is trying to tie those things to the government. Somebody is trying to regulate it. Somebody is trying to use a government agency to oversee it. The startup bill, it's fine. They've laced it with a whole lot of wonderful things. But we're looking at a government that has been trying to stifle innovation. This same government bans Twitter. And we know the kind of business Nigeria, young startups in Nigeria. We know that platform creates a lot of opportunities for us. This government is clamping down on people who are doing cryptocurrency. This government is through CBN, they are working against the fintech startups. And you're telling me about the startup bill. You know what? I think that enough advocacy has not been done about this. I have seen some of the things that are coming up with training, so many other things, trying to, this is a way of trying to lure these young people into trying to be being masked by the government. You see, if the government really wants to do something for the startups in Nigeria, we have a whole lot of startups. There's Startup South, Startup North, Startup West, and all that. They should create an enabling environment. They should ensure that these startups have light. They should ensure that these startups are protected. They should ask the banks through CBN to give them startup funding. You don't need all these bills. Because I'll tell you something, these bills as well, people are also going to go out there, lobby for it. People are also going, by the time you start up with this bill, why is it going through NIDA in the first place? What?
All right, let's leave it at that. You give us a call back and share more of your thoughts, but I have information to share with you.
Yes, I do. We're still talking about Netflix, the Netflix series, the Netflix Nigerian
Which is a
original
startup,
series.
by the way.
It
It's no
is?
longer a startup, right? It was a startup at some point.
Yes, it was.
Netflix was a startup at some point.
Yes.
But now it's like a thriving business.
Very big business. I think they took advantage of the numbers in Nigeria and they were like, yes, these are our customers.
Which numbers do you have in Nigeria?
I would know like 300 million.
No. But go
all
on.
of us sharing one Netflix account.
Yes, that's true. But yeah, we need you guys to go watch this beautiful series by Nigerians. I mean, we've been talking about supporting Nollywood and supporting, actively supporting Nollywood and what we have to do. And all those times where we think that, we can't watch Nollywood movies, this mistake and that mistakes. Well, Blood Sisters is definitely different. It has a foreign vibe. I mean, it is properly created and I think you guys should definitely jump on it. And of course it has all your faves in it. It has Ramsey Noah, it has Kate Henshaw, it has Nasi Sime, Idima, it has Idima, it has superstars, Deyemi the actor and so many more, and we've been talking about it. We don't want to give out too much information so we don't give you
trust me,
spoilers.
the premise is fantastic. The story is fantastic. You need to watch it. And even away from the story, the technical quality of this film, like the sound was great, the picture was great, the shots were great. Like you're watching this and you keep asking yourself, "Bia or Nigerians made this thing?"
Yes, yes, all that good detail. So to experience it yourself, please go watch Blood Sisters on Netflix.
All right, we'll take a break. When we come back from this break, we'll keep talking to Chief. We'll keep taking your calls as well. So Lagos, don't go away. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. This is Nigeria Info 99.3.
We report, you decide. Topical conversations that matter to you.
There are people for personal, religious, whatever reasons who do not want to take a vaccine. And I think they have the rights.
They cannot go to stop insecurity. It's to force people to take vaccine. Let them come and kill me. I can never take it.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
That voice in my head that kept mockingly saying, Femi, what happened to your financial goals? Got so loud that I could not take it anymore. I just had to do something about it. This year, I took a bold step and reached out to Capital Field Investment Group Limited. And just like that, financial planning that seemed so daunting became so smooth and rewarding. I got a reliable partner that stands by me through all financial highs and lows, helping me make my money make me more money. You too can achieve growth, security, and stability with Capital Field. For inquiries and access to unbeatable loan, savings, and investment products, call 01-4547-432 or visit capitalfield.com. Thank me later.
Capital Field Investment Group, the field where money grows.
Now who no, make he come here. Better don't learn. Let's you feel check if your vehicle is booked. You feel update your vehicle papers. Now convenience be this, no bother about pulling over. My country people, better don't land with the Blitz Detect. You fit check the status of your vehicle papers, unbook your vehicle, and for your due vehicle papers from your phone or computer. Now make you visit www.blitzdetect.com to get started. We've got you covered.
Take one, action.
But father, this is the chance I have.
I need more energy. Let's take that again. Take two, action.
But father, this is...
Cut! We're almost there, but I still need some more. Can someone get a bottle of Super Commando, please? Take three, action.
But father, this is the chance I have always wanted.
Bravo! Now that's what I'm talking about. Take four, fire on.
Now it's time for your accolades, because you've earned it. Fire on to the AMVCAs with Super Commando Energy Drink, sponsors of the African Magic Viewers' Choice Awards 2022. Also, follow Super Commando on social media to catch all the action this year. Super Commando Energy Drink. Fire on.
Commando, say you wanna feel that boost? Allow me to introduce Amber Energy Drink. No more shutting down, we're going up. Oh yeah, get ready, stimulate your energy. Amber is the remedy. Go around, tell somebody. Oh yeah, get ready, stimulate your energy. Amber is the remedy. Go around, tell somebody. Say, what are you waiting for? Yeah, now you can do more because Amber Energy Drink there for you. Amber Energy Drink there for you. No need to go too far, you can find it where you are because Amber Energy Drink there for you. Amber Energy Drink there for you.
Amber Energy Drink. Stimulate the energy in you.
The football world knows that legends are made in May.
Well, here we are. There can only be one champion. Tielemans! It's a stunning goal from Tielemans! This FA Cup final could be finished before halfway.
And it is Chelsea who have won the UEFA Champions League 2021.
Catch all the football championships and season's finals only on Supersport on DSTV.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest football fan festival in Nigeria is back. It's Goal Fest 2022. Featuring exhilarating games, food, comedy, live music,
by some of the best Nigerian music superstars. And you can watch the UEFA Champions League finals on a super huge screen. Goalfest 2022 will take place on the 28th of May 2022 at the Balmoral Convention Center, Federal Palace Hotel, Amadu Bello Way, VI Lagos. Time 12 noon. Hurry now. Limited tickets available. Get your free tickets now at www.goalfestnigeria.com. Goalfest 2022 is powered by Football Republic and refreshed by Pepsi.
Many people are in business, but not everyone means business. The people who mean business never say no to money, cash, card, or transfer. These ones grab business opportunities with their full chest. Keep an eye on things that matter, like people, cash flow, and how it all adds up. They do not only know their onions, they know their numbers. They mean business. With Number, you mean business. Visit www.number.com, that is NOMBA, number.com, to get started.
Empty wallet? Need a loan? Need vehicle financing? We've got you. Say goodbye to Sakba and step into the soft life with Creditville. Call us now on 07000 330 330 or send a WhatsApp message to 080 55 1010 to access loans up to 6 million naira. Let's help you finance that good life you deserve.
Terms and conditions apply.
To read for my exams, but I feel so sleepy.
Hey, drink Amber.
Omo, this work, I tire gone. Alaye, you don't go drink Amber.
I'm not sure I can meet that deadline.
You can't, Joe. Drink Amber. This traffic na die, you.
Guy, not to drink Amber.
That's right. With 1 can of Amber energy drink, you get your daily recommended dose of nutrients, vitamins, amino acids, citric acid, and a blend of guarana, a natural caffeine to give that huge rush of energy to get you through your day. And don't forget that refreshingly premium taste that is sure to blow your mind.
Last, wahala for uno dey drink Amber.
Amber is proudly Niger and available in stores near you. Amber energy drink. Stimulate the energy in you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest football fan festival in Nigeria is back. It's Goalfest 2022. Featuring exhilarating games, food, comedy, live music by some of the best Nigerian music superstars. And you can watch the UEFA Champions League finals on a super huge screen. Goalfest 2022 will take place on the 28th of May 2022 at the Balmoral Convention Center, Federal Palace Hotel, Amadu Bello Way, VI Lagos. Time 12 noon. Hurry now. Limited tickets available. Get your free tickets now at www.goalfestnigeria.com. Goalfest 2022 is powered by Football Republic and refreshed by Pepsi.
Plenty people they do business, but not be everybody mean business. The people wey mean business, they know they ever say no to money, cash, card, or even transfer. These kind ones, any business opportunity, then they grab up with the full chest. And then they chook eye only on top of this way make sense. Like the people, cash flow, and how every other thing take the complete. Not be say them only know what thing that they do. They know their numbers and the mean business. With the number, you mean business. Enter our website will be www.number.com to take it for start.
Hey guys, it's Simi.
Naija, stand up. It's Tenny Makanaki.
Alright, hello, how are you? It's your boy, brother Shaggy.
It's me, Mama G.
Okay, you don't link your NIN. Make sure you link your NIN with Glow today.
Dial star 109 hash.
Star 109 hash.
And link your NIN to your new or existing Glow number.
It's simple.
Make a construct it. 20,000 naira bonus after you don't link them.
20,000 naira for free.
Yes, so free.
What are you waiting for?
Grab a massive hot. Thank you, Glow.
As a glamour girl, life comes at you abruptly with situations that stop you in your tracks. 1 minute, you are living to the fullest. And the next, you are running for your life with your blood sister.
But no matter how far or how hard, as a man of God, can you ever outrun who you truly are? Explore the drama, betrayal, and suspense of our stories in our upcoming films, Man of God, Blood Sisters, and Glamour Girls. Sign up on Netflix.com.
Life can be easier when you get help for your business, yo. You go there sell more. Sending fulfillment, we go store your goods for you. We go pick and package it, deliver to your customers. Sending fulfillment, we will package for you. Sending fulfillment, pick and deliver. Sending fulfillment, we will package for you. Sending fulfillment, pick and deliver.
Sandy Fulfillment enables online businesses to earn more, reach more, and grow more. Download the Sandy Fulfillment app today and let's fulfill for you. Sandy, do more.
No matter where you live, no matter how we be, I go always there for you. Anything where you chop or whatever you drink, I cannot eat it back for you. All I ask in return is that you treat me a little better. It's toilet cleaner, my hygiene now your own. Toilet cleaner, it's a win-win for me and you. So make we win, no.
I get up in the morning, ready to conquer the day. Cause my money they grow every day with Persebo. So I step up with no stress, living the soft life. Oh yes, Persebo got my back. So when I hear the, I know I'm making money every day. Building my future every day. See as them they pay me, a lot on the daily. Persebo got my back. I'm making money every day.
Put your money where it go walk. Freedom for your journey to the top. Every day you go jolly when first save a lot for interest drop.
I know I'm making money every day. Building my future every day.
Download the Fair Money app today and make money every day at 10% interest per annum with Fair Save from Fair Money Microfinance Bank.
Making money every day.
They don't disconnect your line sake of say you not link your national identification number to your MTN number. Make you no worry. If you don't already collect your NIN, you get some 5 easy steps you go take reconnect them. 1. Dial *785#. 2. Text your national identification number NIN to 785. 3. Visit my MTN NG app. 4. Chat with Ziggy on top this WhatsApp number +234 903 300 0001 or 5. Visit www.mtn.ng. If you not gonna get national identification number, just waka enter any MTN store or NIMC center near you or visit the MTN website to book appointment. Make you do any of these things sharp oh. Opportunities still there now oh. Make I ask yourself, now wetin we dey do today?
Ladies and gentlemen, the biggest football fan festival in Nigeria is back. It's Goal Fest 2022. Featuring exhilarating games, food, comedy, live music by some of the best Nigerian music superstars. And you can watch the UEFA Champions League finals on a super huge screen. Goal Fest 2022 will take place on the 28th of May 2022 at the Balmoral Convention Center, Federal Palace Hotel, Amadu Bello Way, VI Lagos. Time 12 noon. Hurry now. Limited tickets available. Get your free tickets now at www.goalfestnigeria.com. Goal Fest 2022 is powered by Football Republic and refreshed by Pepsi.
Empty wallet? Need a loan? Need vehicle financing? We've got you. Say goodbye to Sakba and step into the soft life with CreditVille. Call us now
on 07000 330 330
or send a WhatsApp message
to 080 55 1010
to access loans up to 6 million naira. Let's help you finance that good life you deserve.
Terms and conditions apply.
Life for this city no balance at all. For most people like Jumbo, now so hustle every day. Jumbo go come out early momo to go work. I go come back late for night. Traffic back and forth to be like work. Stress don't become everyday PUBG. After all this wahala, Jumbo suppose reach house, relax yourself. but crack for him ceiling, back on it, and one no go let am rest. Here, he get one day, after one kind heavy rain, Jumbo reach house, come see say all the electronics, expensive laptop, TV, home theater don dey swim, sake of say in roof and wall dey leaky. What an expensive joke.
Yes, so don't let cracks and leaks ruin your home. Use Top Shield, a quality waterproofing product for all kinds of concrete, roof, slab, or decking issues. Top Shield, another quality product from Pure Chem Manufacturing, the makers of Top Bond.
If you earn a living, you probably own a business, work for one, or want to start one. Business is central to your life. But do most business shows really speak to you?
Today on the show, the $1 billion valuation of
Balogun and Broad does. Let's talk about the stock market and Alaba market. Let's talk about share IPOs and diesel supply LPOs. Let's talk about Broad Street.
The Nigerian Stock Exchange recorded an all-time high of
and Balogun Street.
The maximum I was spent on fuel to and fro was 4,000.
On Balogun and Broad, Wednesdays at 5.
It's 5:43. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili, and today on Balogun and Broad, we're talking about how the starter bill will impact the tech ecosystem. This bill has passed second reading in the House of Reps after being sent to the National Assembly by the presidency. The supporters of this bill say that it's going to help to grow the Nigerian tech sector, which, by the way, according to TechCabal's State of Tech in Africa report, received $540 million in venture capital funding in 28 deals in the first quarter of 2022. So from January to March, right? January to March, $540 million in venture capital funding. That's over 300 billion naira coming into the sector from VC funding alone. So it's clearly a high growth part of the economy. It's employing more and more Nigerians. It's putting the country on the map globally. The question is, what does the Nigerian tech sector need from the government? Does the startup bill provide it? Answering that question for us today is somebody who helps build the tech sector for a living. He's a product lead at Founders Factory Africa. It's a venture capital firm and venture studio. Chief Andy Oboforibo. He's a friend of the show. He's always here talking about all kinds of things. Today, he's talking about his sector. And before the break, we talked about the funding that labeled startups get. Lagos, if you missed the first half of this conversation, not to worry, it's going to be available as a podcast on our website, www.nigeriainfo.fm. Same thing for last week, Wednesday, when we started this conversation. If you didn't listen, I recommend you do. Go and listen to it. It's available on our website, www.nigeriainfo.fm. So we've talked about the funding, and we talked a bit about training before the break. But I want to stay on that training point a bit more, because beyond direct trainings to startups, this bill also talks about general capacity building to get more Nigerians into tech. How does it aim to achieve that?
Yeah, so what the bill tries to do, attempts to do, like I said, is more training courses at tertiary institutions, polytechnics and universities, setting up of standalone training institutions, 6 of them, one in each geopolitical zone, just for that, and then training the staff and founders of labeled startups directly through giving them access to training programs through the online portal. Yeah.
Okay. So is this trying to set us up to be like the next India as far as tech and startups are concerned? Is that what the goal, do you think, is?
Well, that's the goal, like, written in the preamble, but when you look at that, so I think of all the things that the bill tries to do, I think training is the one thing that makes the most sense for government to be involved in, just the way Nigeria is set up.
Okay.
With the government having, at all levels, not just the federal government, federal and state, and to an extent local government, having so much input on education. So rather than, building new structures there, what I would think we would be talking about is, okay, at primary and secondary education, basic education, what skills should we be teaching our kids at that level that make sure that they come out of basic education with skills that can get them into the tech sector, right? So, we see it in some private schools already. They're teaching kids how to code, but it's in pockets, right?
Okay.
It's not a global policy. Like, the curriculum has not been updated to have more fundamental IT skills, beyond just how to type, right? So, like, is government doing that? Is that in the startup bill? If you're talking about training, then beyond basic education, when you get to tertiary, yes, I'm very happy with the idea that creating courses that in tertiary institutions, polytechnics and universities that can bring up, train, tech savvy, impart tech skills. But my question now becomes, do you need this startup bill for that? Do you need a council to do this? Or is the I was about to say the Nigerian Universities Commission, the Ministry of Education, and ASU, and then I remember that they're on strike right now. But these things are already in place, right? The question now becomes, well, direct funding to those institutions. They're already there, and get the NUC to update again university curriculum, and go to there's some, I don't want to call names, but there's some universities that are already doing it right, both private and public. Go to them, see what they're doing. Let's see how we can replicate that in other places. What India did was, they created these centers of excellence in all these universities, and those centers of excellence were focused on engineering. Places like IIT focused on engineering, both of all types, electrical engineering, software engineering, and all government was doing there was looking at best practice for curriculum and syllabus and enforcing it there. Providing the funding to get the best lecturers, doing all of that. It's not rocket science, and you definitely don't need a new council to do that.
But the bill also talks about supporting labeled startups in their interactions with regulators. Quickly walk us through that. I say quickly because we're out of time.
Okay, so now it talks about you are a labeled startup. You have some things with CAC beyond, like that's Corporate Affairs Commission, registering your company, improving the registration, doing all of that. We all know that CAC is a major bottleneck, right? So what this startup bill is now saying is, we're not going to fix the general bottleneck that is CAC, or the general bottleneck that is the Securities and Exchange Commission, or any other regulator. But what we'll do is we'll create a special express line
for tech people.
Not for tech people, for labeled startups.
Oh, sorry. So for the ones that government have given
has
pass
chosen,
mark,
right? You guys, you get to jump the queue, and you have a special portal. On the there's a special link for you on the the portal.
So
of
we
the
making
council.
corruption a law?
Well, we're picking winners, and we are really giving the winners everything that they need. Let me just put it that way.
Okay, so this secretariat portal that you keep talking about, it's then going to have special sections?
Yes, special sections where you go as a founder and I need to do some stuff with the SEC, so get some regulatory permissions. So I'm not going to go to the office I would normally go. But is that a
bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, but why isn't it available to all startups? Why is it only these labeled startups? Especially when these labeled startups are being chosen by this government council and this secretariat, that is NIDA, and with a few people from the Startup Consultative Forum, which are a few startup founders who are handpicked by government to be in on it, and suddenly they get to choose out of the entire ecosystem which startups are labeled as startups and get access to all these regulatory advantages, funding, and incentives.
And your Boforbo is product leader, Founders Factory Africa, and we're talking about how this startup bill will impact the tech ecosystem. Lagos, join the conversation. We've got 3 minutes, but join anyway. 0700-993-993 993 01465-7190. Do you think that this bill will pass? It's already passed second reading. Do you think that it will pass since it was sent by the presidency?
It's
short answer.
It's looking like it will pass.
99.3. Hello. Hello.
Good evening.
Thanks for calling. Good evening.
Yeah, I called earlier, but all of a sudden, this thing went off, and you guys started running adverts.
Yes. Sorry about that.
All right. So let me just go straight to the point.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I want to thank you guys and the gentleman that is in the studio talking about the startup bill. But like I said earlier, I have a lot of reservations about it.
Okay.
Maybe during advocacy and some other things that we'll talk about, then we'll have to discuss the startup bill, look at the nitty-gritty and all that. We are beginning to see some, what's it called, some red flags, labeled startups and all that, you know. Why do you want to have labeled startups? Why do you want to choose them? Why do you, what criteria are you going to use to choose labeled startups and all that? I keep saying something. Innovation, regulation can never fight innovation. You see, as far as I'm concerned, the startups are there on their own doing their thing, right? The government do not really have to come in now to say they are trying to run a startup bill for the startups. Startup community is very broad. Is in the south, west, east, and everywhere. What we are asking for, the startups are asking for, is not a bill. The government should provide an enabling environment.
Okay.
The government should provide power.
Okay.
The government should tell CBN to give these guys funding through the commercial banks in Nigeria. If they are doing 11-20% interest rate, you give 5% to startups.
Okay. Let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that. We're out of time.
Sorry, something about training. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something about NUC. The startup bill will not stop the NUC from looking at the revising the curriculum. These are the things that they should ordinarily do to bring in things like fintech, edtech, and agri-tech.
All right. Thank you for calling. Thank you for calling. We are out of time. I have to let you go. Thank you so much for calling. I know that if I let the conversation go on, it's going to go on for a very, very long time. And we have everyone trying to call in to contribute. But the time is never on our side on Hard Facts because we have the advertisers who love this show. Hey, 1 million Lagosians listen. They know that you're listening and they want to sell to you. But Chief, thank you for always answering when I call. Always a pleasure to have you on Hard Facts.
Always great to be here, Sandra.
Lagos, I'm still here. Don't go away because after the news at 6, you and I will talk a bit more about today's politics. Someone who says that he has transformed Lagos. Do you agree? Let's have that conversation after the news at 6 o'clock. The news starts at 6, ends at 6:15. At that time, you, me, we have a date right here on Hard Facts. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili on social media. Ezekwesili everywhere. Lagos, don't go away.
As a glamour girl, life comes at you abruptly with situations that stop you in your tracks. 1 minute, you are living to the fullest. And the next, you are running for your life with your blood sister.
But no matter how far or how hard, as a man of God, can you ever outrun who you truly are?
Explore the drama, betrayal, and suspense of our stories in our upcoming films, Man of God, Blood Sisters, and Glamour Girls. Sign up on Netflix.com.
No matter where you live.